Hi, this is Thomas from Apex Game Tools. In this video we will be looking at a very central component to the Apex utility I that we call the context. Now, in order for an AI to make the decisions it needs to make, it needs some information to base these decisions on. And this is what we call the context. So, for instance, in order for the agent, in this case the little boy, to move, it needs to know something about the surrounding world around it and where it should move to, or viable spots to move to. And this is all stored in the context. The context can also be seen as the memory of the unit and will contain anything that the AI needs to operate. So let's have a look at how you implement a context. Here we have the context used in the survival shooter demo. We've called it survival context. You can call it exactly what you want. The only requirement is that you derive or implement this interface, which is called the IAI context. This is simply a marker interface. It does not define any methods or properties that you need to implement. So it's simply for us to know that this is an AI context. Now, as mentioned, you can put anything you need for your AI in here. It is entirely up to you what you put in here. In this case, we've put in what the survival shooter needs. So we've put in a reference to the player. This is the little boy. This represents the different actions that he can take. So he can shoot, he can move, he can throw a bomb. It also represents his state, so we can see if he's healthy, if he's short on bombs, and so forth. In addition to that, we have a reference to the enemies that the little boy can see. We have a reference to the power-ups he can see, and we have a reference or a list of positions that are viable for him to move to. Now, this could be much more advanced, or it could be simpler. It depends exactly on the game that you're making, what is contained in the context, and how it is stored. So, now that we have our context, we also need a way to actually provide this context to the AI. This responsibility is done by the iContext provider, which is another interface that you need to implement on some entity if you use the component model, at least. There are other options on which to pass the context onto the AI, and we'll be touching on that in other videos. But for now, we're going to use the method used in the survival shooter demo, which is to attach it in a component way. Now, to do that, we have implemented that on our player character. So as you can see, he doubles as both being the player, and he's also a context provider. He implements this interface. The interface is very simple. As you can see, this is the only method, and it simply returns a cached context that is created on awake. Here we create the survival context with a reference to the player itself, and when asked for it, we simply return that context. If you wanted to use it like this, which is singleton-like, or if you want to instantiate the context each time because you need to have it configured differently from each run, you can do that as well. Have this work as a factory method. This is, however, the recommended way so that you don't have allocations during gameplay. Now, as you can see, you also have an option to differentiate the context returned based on the ID of the AI asking. So if you need to return different contexts depending on which AI is asking, you can simply use this one as the reference to the AI asking. How this is done in practice, we will be getting back to that in a later video. So let's go back into Unity and see how these are actually attached so that they act together, so that we have our little guy chosen here. And on here we have the player script, which is both representing his actions and also acts as the context provider for the AI. In addition to that, we have the utility AI component attached. This component is the one you will attach using, if you use components to attach your AI, and it will then let you select different AIs for the unit. As you can see here, we have 3 AIs attached to the unit, and they will all be asking the AI context provider, this guy down here, to provide them with a context when they start up and when they run. So that's actually all there is to it. You need a context for the AI to operate, but it is entirely up to you how you create your context. That's it for this video. See you in the next video.